Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and in this video it's going to be a guide on how to basically lower system latency and get lower input lag in all of your games and just make a night and day difference in your gameplay. So there's going to be a couple of parts to this video. I'm going to first off start talking about hardware and things within software, and then things within your peripherals and things within your setup. And first things first, we're going to start off with hardware, and this is really the most expensive part of this video and the most hard to attain part of this video, and it's the hardware. So if you want to get lower latency, you obviously want to choose Intel over Ryzen, and the reason for this is third gen Intel, and specifically or under, there is 2 CCXs, and these are basically groups of cores on the CPU die, and it's not one just CPU die that's a group of cores like an Intel. It's 2 groups, and then they're connected by something called the Infinity Fabric, which creates a tremendous amount of latency compared to Intel, and this is only present on 3rd gen Ryzen and under. If you're on 5th gen or above, you are on 1 CCX unless you're on a Ryzen 9, I'm pretty sure, because Ryzen 9 is a big CPU and it's 16 core CPU, so there is 2 groups of CPU core groups in that CPU, and there's 8, and there's the second part, and that's 8. Those are called CCDs, and they're kind of different, but it's the same principle. They're connected by an Infinity Fabric. So for those CPUs, you could disable the extra cores, but you are going to have less cores, but it will give you similar latency to Intel. But if you don't want to do that for whatever reason, and you want an 8-core CPU or a 6-core CPU that's purely one die, go for Intel. And the second thing that Intel's better at is just the memory controller. The new Ryzen is pretty much not that great compared to Intel. It can only do about 6,000 megahertz, and then after that it's out of sync, which means it's not synced with the Infinity Fabric, and that actually increases latency and lowers FPS. So you want to make sure you're on Intel, especially if you're going to push high speeds of DDR5 or DDR4. And as you can see, this build right here is about $2,300, and this is about basically the best build you could buy right now, and it'll basically run anything that you throw at it. So I'll leave this linked down below. It's the i9, and basically you want to use the same principle for CPUs in general. Intel is always going to be lower latency than Ryzen, and it's going to have better quality things in terms of memory controller and overclocking capabilities. So that's the hardware side for CPU. I'm going to move on to RAM. RAM's really important. You want to make sure you're on 2 sticks of RAM, not 1. If you're on 1 stick of RAM or 3, you're in an awkward situation. 3 is very awkward. It's actually running in flex mode, and what this means is 2 sticks are in dual channel, but one of them is in single, so you're kind of getting lower performance. But you want to make sure you're on 2 sticks or 4, and you want to make sure both those sticks or all 4 of those sticks are the same speed, same brand, and same timings. If they're not those, please do not mix RAM. You're just going to get lower performance. Basically, you want to have 36 megahertz CL14 at least in 2023 if you want the best RAM. So I'll link the best RAM in the description for DDR4. For DDR5, it's kind of different. There are faster sticks than 7800 megahertz. The only issue with that is they're not going to be able to work on every single motherboard that's out there. So in this build right here, this motherboard is able to support 7800 megahertz and above, just because it's ITX and it's only 2 RAM slots, and this does lead better results for overclocking RAM. Then the next thing you want to make sure is you're on an NVMe SSD that does lower latency compared to SATA's, and you want to make sure you're on a decent power supply. If your power supply is a Thermaltake or has ketchup and mustard cables, then you need to upgrade it. It's probably not doing its job well, and it's not good. The other thing is CPU cooling. Now, if your CPU is overheating, you're not just going to be experiencing latency issues, you're going to be experiencing a whole load of other issues. So it's going to be lower system responsiveness, less FPS, and all of that sorts, and probably even crashing. So you want to make sure your cooling is decent. If it's not, then you're going to have issues. So make sure you get a decent water cooler or air cooler. I'll leave both of those in the description along with the link to this PC build if you want to build this for whatever reason, because this is basically the lowest latency build out there right now. Now we're going to move on to things that we could do within Windows/BIOS in order to get lower latency. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to look at in terms of software is our power plan. Now this is really important, especially in Windows, because if you're on a balanced power plan, it's going to run like garbage. So you want to make sure you're either on high performance or you're on the ultimate performance power plan. As you can see, I am not on neither because I do have a custom power plan, and this is the same power plan that I use in in my optimization service. So if you'd like that service for whatever reason to also get this power plan, link is down below to book that optimization. But so cmd.exe, search that up in your search bar, and then copy the command down below for ultimate performance, paste it in here, press enter, and you should only be able to do it once. Don't do it multiple times because it's just going to make a whole bunch of other power plans. So you just need to make it once and it should show up right here. Now I am on my own OS, so it's not going to work, but you get the idea. Just do this and then choose ultimate performance power plan in power options. Now the second thing that we want to make sure on our software basically is you want to make sure that you're not running a lot of things in the background while gaming, because this is going to use more system resources, and if something's constantly doing something in the background, it's just going to create more latency in terms of network and system. So you want to make sure that you don't have anything that's downloading in the background or just things running in the background. So this can be antivirus, Spotify, Discord, basically any program. Obviously you need Spotify and Discord probably for gaming, but you don't need Steam running in the background if you're playing a different game that isn't on Steam, and you don't need Epic Games Launcher running in the background. So make sure once you load up a game, your taskbar isn't cluttered. You want to click this arrow right on the bottom right, make sure there's not like 50 things in there. If there is, close out of all of them, and you can also go to Task Manager, go to Startup tab, and disable them in here if you don't want them. Everything here is wanted for me, so I'm gonna skip that part, but that's also another thing that you want to watch out within your Windows installation. So for this tweak right here, this is going to drastically improve latency, because this is going to basically force your CPU to get stuck to C0, which is C state 0, where there's no C states running and there's no power saving on your cores. The only issue with that is it is going to come with a temperature penalty, and if your temperatures get too high, then do not do this. So before we do anything, we're gonna basically check our temperatures with hardware info 64, and I'll leave this in the description below to download it. And basically once it's downloaded, you just want to run hardware info 64, HW info 64, make sure sensors only is checked, click start. That's gonna look a little bit different for you if you're on Intel. If you're on Ryzen, just look at what I look for. For Intel, just look for core temp, and it's the same principle. Basically you want to look at this and you want to apply disable idle command. So what disable idle is what I said earlier. It forces your CPU to get stuck to C0 where there's no C states running, but it is going to increase temperatures by a lot. So all you want to do is press Windows key and R, type CMD, copy the two commands in the description to disable idle, and paste them in there, click enter, and as you can see, you should see your temperatures ramp up. Sometimes if it gets too hot, revert it instantly. It's not going to benefit you at all, but you want to make sure if it's not going too hot so far, you want to open up your game, whatever game you're playing. It could be COD, Valorant, Fortnite. Open it up, make sure it's not reaching 70 degrees or above. If your CPU is reaching 70 degrees or above, you might want to turn up the fan speeds in BIOS. If it's reaching 75, 80, then you want to just revert this and don't run it unless you get better cooling, or unless you turn off certain things within the BIOS to help latency and lower temperatures. And we're going to get into that later, but we're going to stick to the software side of things for now. So disable idle is going to help a lot, but the only issue with it is it's going to increase temperatures. And the second thing is, for some people, they might freak out if they see 100% CPU usage all the time in Task Manager, and that's what disable idle does. It just bugs out Task Manager and says that it's not actually at 100%, like nothing's using 100% of my CPU right now. So if you want to use a different software, look at CPU usage, you're more than welcome to look at Process Explorer or Process Hacker, and they should show the correct CPU usage. Now we're going to move on to the other thing that we could do to lower latency within our software. Alright, so for whatever game that you actually have installed, you want to make sure that if it's on DX11, you're running it in full screen exclusive. So for Valorant, you just want to open up Valorant and then go to Task Manager and just right click on it and click Open File Location. And you want to make sure that you're actually doing it straight to the Win64 shipping.exe file. And this is because doing it to the launcher isn't going to probably transfer over. At least I'm not sure. So you want to make sure you're doing it straight to the game exe file. This is the same thing for Fortnite. Basically any game that is DirectX 11, you want to do this for. DX12, this doesn't really work because it's just running in these full screen optimizations, and it's not going to run full screen exclusive on DX12. So you want to find whatever game you're trying to set to full screen exclusive. You want to right click on it. Once you found this exe, go to compatibility and then click disable full screen optimizations. Then you want to press apply, press OK. And this is make it so whenever whenever you alt tab, it is going to be like a black screen for 1 to 2 seconds. It depends on your monitor, to be honest, and it shouldn't be that long unless you have 2 different resolutions for your game and your desktop, which I suggest making both of them the same so you can alt tab faster if you want to. Otherwise, don't do this, but it is going to help a lot in terms of game feel and all of that. So that's pretty much it for software side of things. Now we're going to move on to BIOS side of things, and there are a couple of options that you could disable to get extremely lower latency. And first, the one being hyperthreading / simultaneous multi-threading. So for Ryzen / AMD, this is called SMT mode, and disabling this basically makes it so you're running the same amount of cores and threads, so there's not another thread for your core. So for example, you could have 16 cores, 32 threads, but that is way more latency and way more heat output from your CPU because it's 32 threads. The issue with that is it is going to be higher latency doing that whenever it's enabled, so disabling it is going to lower temperatures and latency. But the only thing with that is some games and some software are going to basically lose performance. So anything that is multi-threading related, it is going to lose performance. So for generally 8 core CPUs and above, you're able to disable hyperthreading / SMT mode, and you should be pretty fine. For 6 cores and under, you want to test this for each game that you're playing. So for example, you could play Fortnite, you could play on 8 cores, you could disable hyperthreading / SMT mode, and if you're playing Valorant, you could test hyperthreading on versus off on a 6 core CPU or under. Now for laptops, this option might not be available to you unless it is in BIOS. You'd have to check it out yourself, and for pre-builts it might be the same thing. It really depends on your PC, but you basically just want to access BIOS, find hyperthreading around the CPU configuration categories, and just disable it there. And it's going to be called hyperthreading for Intel, and for Ryzen / AMD it's going to be called SMT mode, and that's going to help a ton just because it's going to lower your CPU latency overall. But if you're on 6 cores or under, you want to make sure you're testing this. And if you're on a quad core, so 4 cores, and you have hyperthreading technology supported, just enable it. Most likely going to get lower performance with it disabled. So 8 cores and above, disable hyperthreading if you want lower latency and don't care about multi-threaded tasks. It honestly depends on what game you're playing and what tasks are you doing. Rendering is going to take a hit if you're using your CPU to render, and if you're on 6 cores, you want to test on versus off for whatever game you're playing. Some games might actually benefit from hyperthreading / SMT mode, so test that. And if you are on 4 cores, just leave it enabled for most applications. Now we're going to move on to the other thing that you could do in BIOS, and that is disabling E-cores. So that's the same principle as hyperthreading, but you're disabling efficiency cores, and this is only for 12th gen Intel and 13th gen Intel. You want to make sure you disable these if you want lower latency, and it might even fix some of your FPS issues in game, just because efficient cores are basically cores that run at a basically majorly lower speed compared to P cores, which are your actual cores. E cores are just extra things that you can use for, like, I don't know, it depends. I haven't seen like an actual application for them yet that actually makes sense, so you could disable those as well to get lower latency, less heat output, and sometimes even more FPS because your CPU is running a constant CPU speed. The third thing you want to make sure you disable in BIOS is Intel speed shift technology or Intel speed step, and if you're on AMD, you want to make sure you disable AMD cool and quiet. Now the only issue with Intel is if you disable Intel speed step, your CPU might not boost anymore, so you want to make sure that whenever you disable Intel speed step, your CPU is not stuck at 3.6 gigahertz or whatever base clock your CPU is. You want to make sure it's running at a turbo speed. If it's not, just keep Intel speed step enabled but disable Intel speed shift technology. And the reason why we're disabling these two settings is because the fluctuation between clock speeds actually increase latency from your CPU, and we don't want that to happen, and we just want it stable. For AMD cool and quiet, it's kind of the same principle, but AMD cool and quiet is just garbage. Make sure you disable that, and some of you might not have it, some of you might have it in BIOS. You just want to make sure, go in there and check. Now the fourth thing you want to disable is C states, and you can find information found that all over the internet on how to disable C-states for your CPU. For AMD, it's called global C-state control. For Intel, it's just C-state support or Intel C-states. Disable those are useless. Disabling them is going to increase temperatures, so make sure your temperatures are fine. Check with hardware info 64 as I showed previously, and that's pretty much it for BIOS/software. Now we'll move on to the next part of things, which is going to be your peripherals/setup. Now the next few parts are going to be regarding your setup/peripherals, and I'm just going to start off with basically you want to make sure you're using the highest polling rate possible for your mouse and keyboard. Now of course there are exceptions to this. If you have a Razer Viper Ultimate or an 8000 polling rate mouse, you want to make sure you're using only 4000, because I'm pretty sure on the Razer Viper Ultimate 8000 is unstable, and second of all, using anything above 4000 is going to take way too many CPU resources and it's just going to cause FPS drops. So that's also a thing to consider, that increasing your polling rate on certain things to very high values is going to cause performance loss from your CPU, so you want to test around with that. But for most of you, you should be able to run 1000 Hz on your mouse keyboard perfectly fine, and you want to make sure you do this within your mouse software/keyboard software. So for most of you, you might be on the G Pro wireless. You want to download onboard memory manager. I'll leave a link to that down below, and you want to be using 1000 report rate, which is aka polling rate. And for Razer, same thing. For keyboards, same thing. For controller, it's kind of different. If you're on an Xbox controller, it actually is no way for you to overclock it. Even though it says it's overclocked, it's not actually overclocked. They're actually locked. It's the only way to get an Xbox controller that actually overclocks. I'll leave a link to the overclockable Xbox controller down below. It's from Victrix, and that controller is great. You could do 1000 Hz on it, and it's basically the best Xbox controller out there that's overclockable. Now for PS4 and PS5, you want to test around. For PS5, you want to do 1000 Hz, even though it can support 8000. Do 1000, because anything above 1000 is going to use way too many CPU resources, or it's going to be unstable and your joysticks are going to feel super heavy. And second of all, for PS4, it's the same principle, but for 1000 Hz, it might not be stable, so you might try around 250 or 500. This is really important for controller because that makes basically a night and day difference, and it's an easy fix. Now the other thing is to check if your monitor is set right, and if it's not, reset the settings and disable basically anything regarding adaptive sync or G-Sync, FreeSync, anything regarding that, disable that. And overdrive, you want to max that out, and if overdrive causes ghosting, you want to lower it down a little bit. And if you don't know what that is, just search it up. I do have a video about that. And that's for monitor, and you also want to make sure you're using a low processing latency monitor, and I do have a top 5 monitors video. Go watch that, find out which monitor is perfect for you, buy it, and configure it. But for most of you, aim for a 240 Hz monitor and don't get 360 Hz. 360 Hz, you're not going to be able to get 360 FPS anyways, and you're going to feel the FPS drops way more on 360 Hz compared to 240. So the best monitor out there is 240 Hz OLED, and that's just because there is basically zero processing latency since each pixel is doing its own thing because it's OLED. So that monitor is very expensive, however, and it's only 1440p, so you could decide on what to do with that information. But that's for monitors. And you also want to make sure that your mouse pad is not dirty, because anything that is dirty, it's going to mess up your mouse sensor and it's going to cause latency and all of that. Now for mouse, again, you want to make sure you're using 800 DPI or above. 400 DPI is just way too outdated and it's higher latency. 800 DPI, 1600 DPI is really good. And so yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you want a full PC optimization service where I do all of this and more, book the optimization down below to get it. It's zilly.is.me. That's the link to book my optimization. I did just release the best service basically out there, the ultimate PC optimization, where I literally go through everything. I give you a custom OS, complete BIOS settings, secret BIOS settings, and complete router optimization to get you from C buffer bloat to A, and basically recommendations for upgrading, GPU overclocking, a dual boot where you can switch between a gaming profile and a work/school profile. Now that's it for the ultimate PC optimization. I do offer 2 other services that are way cheaper on there as well. Link is in the description. Book that whenever you're ready, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.